Welcome back to the Ben and Rich YouTube channel. Well guys, another How Tuesday in the books for you today. So, a little bit of live action going on here. So the infamous 8100 swapped OBS. So we're gonna do a little bit of progress to that today. See if we can get the cooling system wrapped up, get the exhaust put on. Now, we did something off camera, I know, I'm sorry guys. I did go ahead and I threw on the exhaust manifold for the driver's side, and then I threw on our power steering line. So that there is that 96 half-ton line we talked about, and it works great. So power steering is buttoned up. I did put fluid in it, I'm sorry. We did need to change the oil though, oil change. Spark plugs, manifold on the passenger side, obviously cooling system. Now in the essence of, the whole, aspiring idea behind this build is budget, right? So I did, of course, got a used radiator. So we got ourselves a 350 radiator. So this thing here is, let's see, this was out of a 98 half-ton. And actually it was a new one at some point, so that's always good. And then we did make sure we grabbed the fan shroud, and then the upper support brackets. So we did get those as well, so that'll hopefully retain our radiator. And then we just gotta figure out hoses. I did take a shot in the dark, and I ordered a 350 lower, and I think a 350 upper. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I did get a couple, oh no, flex hose, that's what it was. Another thing. The Jimmy that was bumped in out back, the one that had the smashed fender, well, the fender's still smashed, right? Okay, that's still dealt with. But while we were out there, we did grab a bumper for it because I wanted it to make look like, look like a presentable vehicle before we start tearing it apart. Because you're gonna see that unit very soon. Body lift coming, 6-inch suspension lift coming, 5.3 coming. So that is gonna be glorious. So hopefully, probably in the next week or two, we'll get on that project here for you guys. Maybe even Friday, you don't know. We got to see how far we make progress with the old OBS. So let's get to it. All right, so something you may not think about, and I know I mentioned it a few moments ago, but these little rubber grommets are gold, in these support brackets. So here's the thing. The factory, now depending what engine you have, right? That could be different. I guess if you have a 350, you'll have the bigger radiator. Now if you're a 305 guy or a 4.3 like we were, you're gonna have, I think it's a 28-inch radiator. So now you're asking, Brian, why aren't you going with a big block radiator or a diesel, right? Ton of fluid capacity. It's a great idea, right? Difference, the core support. The core support is deeper to accommodate for a larger radiator, right? So problem with that, and this is what I don't know, and I hope somebody in the comments will let me know, so future reference if I need to upgrade it. Will that core support fit on a half-ton two-wheel drive frame? Because I know in Ford terms, I tried using an Explorer radiator with a V8 in my V8 swapped Mazda B2300, right? Didn't work. So hopefully we can go ahead and just fit the 350 radiator in here and it'll work just fine. So things not to forget when you're at the yard. Now I got 50 bucks into the radiator, so we'll have to add that to the tally. So other than that, let's get this thing put in. Okay, so a little bit of light here. You can see there's a single hole right here, correct? So that there is to accommodate for the larger grommet, okay? Kind of like that one there, but you see how this one's got a bigger channel for a bigger radiator? Same thing for this side, guys. Small channel for the smaller radiator, larger outfit for the bigger one. That's why it's important to grab those if you got the small radiator. So basically though, these things will kind of just wedge in there. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. And then they got that little rubber nipple. That's what she said. But you'll just grab that with a pair of pliers and it'll pop through. But you'll see it kind of fits in there. And it's kind of a wedge fit. And not to beat this thing to death here, guys, but you see that the nipple is offset. So obviously that's meant to align it up in a certain way. And then these upper brackets, there is multiple holes. So the other radiator was held in by the fan shroud. Now this bracket here, what's important is that obviously holds our upper half of the radiator in. And then our fan shroud will bolt to the factory holes. And remember, get the corresponding fan shroud. So what I don't know, and we're gonna find out together, is can we use a factory LS fan that's shorter? Remember, if you go back to the LS swapped OBS truck, we use that F-150 fan to give us some extra length, you know what I'm saying? So hopefully we can go ahead and put that LS fan in there, but let's get this radiator in first. All right, moment of truth. All right. Now, granted, guys, this should drop right in. I mean, because it did come out of, you know, one of these trucks. So, with a little optimism here. Oh yeah, right in the factory spots. So, let's see how these units up here fit. Now, I don't think these holes have been used, so hopefully we don't strip them out. But I guess we'll find out. What's the worst gonna happen? It fits just like factory, but you know, it probably should because it came out of a truck just like it. So yeah, again, that's why you grab this kind of stuff when you're there. And actually, that's the benefit of the yards, guys, just so we can grab some of that stuff. Because where else are you going to get that from? You're not going to get that from, probably discontinued from the dealer. You're going to get it from LMC truck. I guess maybe you could, right? So now, radiator is in, fits great. We got to work on the hoses like we talked about, but we'll do that after the fact. Let's see if the shroud fits. You want to? You ready? Let's do it. So the only reason I remotely question this is simply the depth, you know, because obviously this motor sticks out further. So I don't know. But, you know, I mean, if you think about it, the fan, I don't know, let's just try it. What do we got to lose? It has to work. There's no other option. So, okay, well, you know, it goes in the hole. All right, let's blast. There's a couple bolts in the bottom. Obviously, you guys at this point would have taken it apart, so you know that. So I'm going to send them home real fast. And at least that way, we can see if the top fits, and then we can try a fan out and see what fan we're going to use. Because the whole idea of this video today is kind of wrap up this cooling system and the exhaust type stuff. I might start dabbling with the wiring a little bit. It's been a really busy weekend, so I'm trying to get kind of caught back up and get this video out for tomorrow for you guys. Oh, I mean Tuesday, of course. So yeah. All right, so you see our J-nuts down there. Same thing. It'll just seat right where it was originally. And then the worst part is there's no room for the electric ratchet, at least on the other side. So, yeah, fun stuff, guys. I mean, just think if we lived in the era of, you know, hand tools, no ratchet wrenches. We're using speed wrenches, man. I don't know if I can handle it. Kind of got spoiled with the old electric ratchet, I'm just saying. And I mean, these ratchet wrenches, I mean, they didn't have those till probably the 1900s. So that's a long freaking time with no primitive, you know, with using primitive tools. All right, time to go to the old storage van. We got to see if we got any fans out there. I think I got one out of a van. You can always tell them have black blades. And then also a regular truck LS one. Hopefully that is gonna work too. Well, we got yeah, so here's our van fan. You can tell, like I said, black blade. And I see we got look at that truck, 2005-3. So there's some spares we had from Bill's truck, our buddy's red truck there. So let's get in the shop and try them real fast. So something to take into consideration too, just make sure you have the right rotation. Now you can always tell if it's a reverse rotation because the belt runs on the back side. So obviously what's that gonna do is gonna spin the water pump the opposite direction. Don't forget that too. Years ago, oh man, if I remember I picked up an S10 Blazer. I actually had a 350 swapping it, but I know, right? So that Blazer I got because it would overheat really bad. So what they did is they took a old style water pump off like an 80s 350, and the fan never really fit right because obviously the fan and the water pump pulley are different. They spread it out a little bit. That was the difference, right? They elongated the pulley holes and the fan holes and put that standard rotation water pump on this TBI S10 Blazer, which was reverse rotation because it was serpentine. No wonder why it overheated, guys, but thank you, because I got a good deal on that darn thing. So let's see if this fan fits. That's how she's supposed to go on. 4/8 and 6/0s, but when I pull this back, usually from what I've been told from the old school is that you want kind of like a 50-50. You don't want the blade completely inside because it can cavitate, is what I was told. Drop in the comments below if you do know. I don't know. Realistically, if it's drawing air, hopefully it'll draw air and do its job. But, you know, maybe we could cut the shroud. You know, you see it's got 2 ribs. Maybe we split this section. But by all means, we're not going to mess with it. We're going to try it first, of course. And then if it gives us problems, we'll adapt. Or maybe we'll put a big-ass electric fan on it, you know, because we're going to be doing standing burnouts, right? Hopefully not. So, let's get the top part on. All right, let's show you the wrong way to put your fan on. So, you can see now that it's in there, our fan is pretty much flush. So, I don't know. Like I said, if you guys know, definitely let me know. But it doesn't hit, so that's a freaking win. And it is bolted in. And obviously, guys, that's what's cool about using the OEM stuff. It just goes right in and it fits. So, we did score that, like I said, new used radiator. So, hopefully a 350 radiator is enough for the old big block. I don't know. I mean, we're not pulling heavy trailers or anything. Well, I mean, not that we know of. So, I don't know how the intake's going to work. You can see that's pretty close. I did save the factory 8.1 stuff, and I'm going to hope to try to use that. That way, I am going with a driver's side battery mount. If you ever found these trucks with dual batteries, whether it's a diesel or some of the other ones just had an auxiliary battery tray for whatever reason, that's what we're putting over there. The 8.1 truck came with that. The LS trucks come with a driver's side battery. And that allows us to use the factory, hopefully the factory air assembly for this side. And maybe we'll even get one out of an earlier diesel or something so it draws out of the fender. Because, of course, we want, you know, our fresh air inlet. Now, remember, I know this thing's an 8.1, but that is the same throttle body they use on the 4.8s and 5.3s and 6.0s. That's like a 71 millimeter. She's a baby. She's a baby. So we'll see what happens. And as for the wiring stuff, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change these coils because I think they're ugly. They're rusty. I hate these fanned ones. And I did try a later Gen 4 style, and there's a numerical number for it or whatever. I don't know. But the plastic, oh, you can kind of see her back there. They look better, so we're going to put some of them on it. Let's see if our hoses fit. We did save the factory 8.1 hose. And then we did order one. And then the lower 350 hose. Let's try it. I don't know. Looking at it already. So down here, this aspect is right. You know. And then it goes, you know, 6 feet back. And that ain't going to work. I wonder if we can, you know, modify this hose maybe, because if you put it like this, that part fits and it don't look too shabby. I just don't know if there's enough to cut off down here to get it to hook there. I mean, maybe, huh? I mean, if we cut into here, problem is, guys, it's like a $30 hose. So if we cut it up, then we're just out. Right now, we at least get our money back and try something different. So this is the other hose I ordered. And then, like I said, I'm going to try to find my factory 8.1 hose because that looks better. But it's one of the super doopy flexies. And I know our buddy Mortsky wouldn't be proud of that. He hates these things. So I don't think it's going to work anyways. It's too long. This was a... Oh, you can't read the damn thing. I can't read it either. Don't feel bad, folks. It's too long anyways. I think this was like a 13 or a 14, and we need probably a 12. Something I was looking at also. Yeah, you know the highest point should be your fill cap? I don't know on this one. So, if I set this on the grill, and you're looking right at the water outlet, and then I set this on the grill, and you're looking at the top of the radiator cap. We may have to drill and tap this housing and put an air bleed there. Or we may be getting one of the diesel tanks that put a cap over in the corner. I know when we did Jeremy's 6.5 truck, that had a remote mounted cap. Now basically we could just put a higher pressure cap here and have dual radiator caps. I know it sounds stupid. I know, but I don't know. So we'll see, because I mean, I know like 3800s and stuff, they tap, or they come factory with an air bleed. So we might be looking at just doing something like that too. The fun stuff. This is the stuff that I actually enjoy doing. These are the challenges and stuff that it's kind of an accomplishment when you do it. And it's cool when you start seeing it come together. You're starting to see it look like a truck, you know, motor in there. You're starting to see how things are fitting, and you're starting to think, you know what, I can do this myself, and you can. So the factory 8.1 hose, I mean, it is close. I don't know. So here's the trouble. It's 1.25" on the radiator side and not 1.5", and it's 1.5" over here where the hose is 1.5", 1.5". So they do make radiator hose bushings. I haven't had the best luck with them. I almost had better luck over clamping the damn thing. So I don't know. I don't know that part yet, but I did see about getting a shorter flex hose. I'm just kind of waiting on a response back. I mean, that factory hose looks way more tasteful, and I think it's going to work out just splendid if we can get away with this on this end. And maybe a new hose with a new bushing might be okay. We're not using an old clapped out hose that's rock hard, you know. I don't know. It's going to be great, though. It's going to work out. So, that's with the 350 hose on there. And like I said, we did cut that little portion off, and there is a protective sleeve there because it does rest on the inner fender, but it fits pretty sweet. I gotta fess up. You want to see my $40 mistake? I broke the knock sensor. I was trying to avoid it like the freaking plague, and I nicked it when I put that thing in the other day. You live and you learn. So 7/8 wrench. Well, kind of. Let's see if these work. I mean, leverage is your best friend after all. Oh yeah, that's what we needed. Okay, something else I did off camera. I did alleviate the EGR beforehand. I kind of forgot to mention that part earlier, guys, but I was able to get a block off plate made. I don't know if that would actually fit back there. And obviously this is an off-road use only truck in Mexico, so we're not worried about that. So it did leave a plug on the EGR, or excuse me, on the exhaust manifold that we have to plug. So let me grab the manifold real fast. Okay, manifold, right? So I'm going to show you something too. This is a heavy magnet. Non-magnetic stainless. How freaking cool is that? So now what we're going to do is weld mild steel wire to it to plug said hole. So you get yourself a nice carriage bolt, grade 8 of course, and it fits right in there. So we're just going to go ahead and burn that around there, and that'll be plugged right off. And that, friends, is how you plug off your EGR tube with a welder. So, moment of truth. We know the driver's side fits. That's the one I was really worried about. Let's see if this passenger side fits. Hopefully, right? Because we don't really have any other choices. So there is a couple bolt holes that are smaller than the rest on the manifold, and those are to kind of help center up the manifold. But so far it feels decent. Gotta get a couple of these damn bolts in here, guys. Hold on one sec. Honestly, that fits in there really well. The driver's side fit great, is, I mean, also, but I mean, let me see if I can get a little better angle. And I mean, we're close to the upper control arm, but look back there. I mean, that heat shield, I mean, that fits in there. Freaking factory. All right, so we're gonna make an attempt here in cutting this because I want to use this air box. You see it's got a nice provision for a factory shroud. So it is really close. We know the fan clears it. Well, we hope we know the fan clears it. So I'm gonna mark it, the old paint marker, and see what we can get out of this gem. Hit it with a flat disc or Sawzall or something, nib up that plastic. just eyeball a little bit. You know, this should be suitable, right? Kind of like just enough's all we need. Over to Sawzall first, right? Try not to hit the fan, of course. Hey! All right, air tube on. So I did just kind of throw the factory one up on here. It is just kind of sitting in the battery tray, but I've done it before and it's not the best, I understand, but being resourceful, being budget minded on this hot rod. So we know this truck's not perfect, right? So I'm really debating if we just cut a hole. So here's the inlet on the factory style, right? It draws from the fender. Obviously ours is gonna draw hot air, right? Because it's under the hood. But I'm debating if we cut a hole in the fender. You know, we just bore a little hole there, and then that way it can draw in some fresh air from there. May work. All right. There's one hole. Now, and this stuff's kind of rusty, guys, so it doesn't really matter. As long as we're close, right? All right. So that hole lines up, and I want to try putting one through this. So we're gonna take an educated guess. We're gonna go like right here. Well, there she is, folks. Got to use the old Hot Rod 8.1 intake. I mean, the coolest part, right, is it says it right there, right? So people know what it really is. So I just bolted it down to the battery tray. I know it's kind of jank for a spacer. I know. But remember, this is budget build, budget. So that way, I mean, a little flat black paint, you'll never see those shiny nuts. So factory intake is in, bolted down. There's no air filter. But like I said, the things we were talking about earlier with the wiring being the last thing is we want to get our mass airflow lined up. In this one, we're probably going to run it just to, you know, because it's a stock engine. We're not doing anything crazy, so we'll leave it alone. So we wanted to get that in, plus it has our intake air temp. Now granted, we could put it where the purge valve is, just like the last LS we did in the last couple anyways. But since we got it, we're going to utilize it today anyways with this particular project. And then I'm going to go ahead and start pulling some of the wiring apart here, hopefully, and maybe I'll get the plug wires on. Something to make it look just complete for you guys. And for me, you know, a little self-satisfaction is always rewarding, so. That makes quick work of that. You know, unnecessary to change these style coils. I just got an abundance laying around, and I like the look of them a lot better. I know we're not going completely by looks, but the old blooming onion of the old ones. How long before that guy fails? You know what I'm saying? So, on that note, we don't need him. So, we did throw the newer style. These would be off like an 07 to 13 truck, or there's other applications that are on cars, whatever, you know, but, and I do have the cheapest high performance, you know, ignition cables I could get off the old eBay. I had them from another project. They're way too long, and they kind of clip on like shit. So just don't buy them. The worst part is how they snap on. They don't snap on efficiently. So we may put some a different brand on anyways, but we're gonna put them on for now because we have them and see what happens. But we do have new plugs in there, we have new wires, we have new coils, we have an airbox assembly, we have a cooling system now. Obviously no cooling in it yet, but I did actually, believe it or not, it worked out decent. I do have a new 8.1 upper coming, but the old one is on and she's clamped. So it didn't work out too bad. Now, I did get a bushing coming. Okay, I have an 1 1/4 to 1.5 inch bushing. That'll take care of that with a factory 8.1 hose. And I mean, you can see it lays out pretty darn decent. And after looking at it, I think the radiator cap still might be the highest point. Worst case, we'll just jack up the driver or passenger side, right? That'll be the highest point. So we're getting somewhere. Well, friends, I think we made some progress today. Got cooling system buttoned up for the most part. Real close. Just put a little coolant in her, and you know, air box assembly is about 90% done. We threw the cover on just to show you kind of the aesthetics, and it fits. I was kind of concerned how the cowl was going to work out. Threw the new coils on, plugs, wires, all that stuff are looking good. New dipstick tube is in. Starting to look pretty sweet, guys. So, on that note, on this How Tuesday, we're going to wrap it up with that stuff right there. Trying to play catch up on a couple things. I got a few things going on, so I'm trying to throw some good information to you guys. We're going to get into the wiring here next for sure, because this thing's got to get running here in like 2 weeks. It's going to the body guy for rockers and cab corners. So, on that note, guys, I appreciate you tagging along. Kind of a shorter video today. Still has a little bit of good information. And you can see we pretty much reused everything we had. We got the fan and everything from the junkyard and the shroud, and it worked out freaking slick. So you can do this stuff yourself, guys. Just remember that. So on that note, make sure you like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. We'll see you on the next one.